Friends, welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. This is your host, Scotty B. My next guest, I am just beyond words to have someone of such accomplishment and talent on the show. Best Masters winner from Anime Central, Central Champion for Crown Championships of Cosplay, featured in Cosplay Culture Magazine, Star Wars Insider, StarWars.com, on Marvel.com, and SyFy. She has seen so much success with her cosplays as a competitor, has written and published well-received books, judged many competitions, and continues to create meaningful content on social media for her ever-growing audience. Friends, please welcome to the show creator, cosplayer, seamstress, author, and driving force for the SheProp community online, JediManda, to the show.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so good to see you again. It is so good to have you on the show. Wow.
Thank you for the invite.
It's just so great. Where I usually like to start with guests is just talking about origin stories. So your origins in cosplay and really how you became JediManda, the cosplayer that we know, like, and trust now.
Yeah, my origin story is a bit different than most. I know a lot of people, when they talk about when they start cosplaying, it's literally from absolute no knowledge, and they're just trying to figure out how to do everything with duct tape and, you know, some spit. But I actually got into cosplay as a professional already. I was already working in costume shops here in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. I was working professionally as a seamstress, as a tailor. At the time, I think when I really started getting heavy into cosplay, I was working in a costume shop for the Louisville Ballet. I don't know, the times are a little off right now. I think that was back in 2013. My first costume convention was 2012, so right about that. But I already graduated college with my degree in fine arts, and with that, I studied sewing and costume making. So I was already doing work, but I was making costumes for other people. And it came down to the fact that I got really tired of making really pretty costumes for other people, and I wanted to wear them. And so I just started making them for myself when I discovered really conventions, probably around, like I said, 2012, 2013. And I discovered that I could go play dress up, you know, all the time. And I fell in love with it. I started competing right out of the bat when I did cosplay.
Really?
A lot of people, oh yeah, that was like my first, that was my reason for and my justification for making costumes at first, because I'm such a competitor. But once I got into that realm of competition first, I really fell in love with it, and I just kind of expanded. Instead of just making super costume heavy pieces for competition, I was like, oh, well, I can just do this with groups of friends, or I can make whatever I want and compete with it there. And it just kind of expanded outward. But that's kind of my origin stories. So I jumped in pretty much with a lot of knowledge already first.
Yeah, both hands, both feet.
And went from there. Yeah.
I know you wrote a book, which I bought.
I did.
It was amazing. And it is called Creative Cosplay, Selecting and Sewing Costumes Way Beyond Basic. It is the best $24.95 that you will spend.
Well, that's a huge
friends. It's really, I mean, not to give away the whole thing, because I really do want people to like enjoy this book. If they can, just go buy it. She's gonna write more too. But the book Creative Cosplay, it's about sewing, but I mean there's a lot going on. You talk about
right here as well.
Oh, there we go. We can compare notes a little bit. You know, everything about sewing is a great guide for cosplayers, in my opinion. Just to get a general sense of not just the nuts and bolts of things, but also you talk about photo shoots, you talk about competitions and cons in general. I would like to start by talking about your process and how you came up with the topics to include in your book. And really, it's not brand new. It's been in circulation for a little while, but I believe it's been very well received.
It has. It unfortunately came out during the middle of this pandemic, so I have yet to really kind of give it a splash across all, you know, as much as I could. So when I wrote the book in 2019, we had a whole plan to do all these cool book tour stops at conventions with my publishing company, and all of that just went downhill. So, and but it's okay. It's done very well. And I think a lot of people found it very handy because a lot of people really started to cosplay and make stuff a lot during the pandemic. And so I had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, I needed something to do with my hands. I found your book and oh, I'm a cosplayer now. So, and that's exactly what like I thought when writing the book, because I wanted it to be a companion piece for people starting, but also already seasoned cosplayers wanting to do something else. And so there is a very heavy sewing vibe in the book because that's my area of expertise. Yeah, JediManda.
Yes.
So and there have been some books out there that have been a lot of very foam heavy, or some other books that have touched lightly on sewing, but cosplay sewing, in my opinion, is a little different. You can do a lot of different changes in sewing for yourself because you're making it for yourself versus like for theater or for a client or something like that. So I wrote it from that perspective. I wanted it to be a beginner sewer who has never picked up spandex ever, but to not be afraid of using spandex. But then also going from, oh, you finished your outfit, now what next?
Yes.
So a lot of people want to know about competition. That's a lot of goal setting for people in costuming. I mean, that was mine. So I wanted to kind of share that. But I also wanted to touch on like convention etiquette and like what it's like to go to a convention dressed up. A lot of people don't know what it's like. And that's like my biggest tip to tell someone right at the beginning is if you want to go to a convention and you want to cosplay, go to a convention not in cosplay first, and then see what the cosplayers do. Because a lot of people don't understand the amount of photos that come to you. They don't understand like the interactions with children or what happens when there's a bad interaction, So I wanted to be completely transparent on that half of the book. And so I think that's what kind of made my book stand out from a lot of other cosplay books on the market, was that half, the cosplay life.
Sewing on its own. Actually, the book inspired me to buy my own sewing machine. So I've been working on that. It's not
welcome to the cult.
Not quite as far along as many people that I know, of course yourself being just an amazing seamstress.
It's so many years. I mean,
it does take a little while.
Perfection at it. It takes a long time.
My goal with just learning how is like just to sew straight at this point. So
hey,
I'm getting
that
baby
is half
steps.
I'm
getting there. It's a ton of work. But your book, I mean, it's like, where do I even start with what to include? But you have so many great tips, and like you talk about patterns, and you talk about how to embellish things and doing embroidery, and there's a lot of like outside of the box sort of things going on in your book, and it's very digestible. It's very relatable. Like you can read it. You can probably you can get through it. Like I read it at C2E2, at least most of it. Like I was pretty far done, so it's not like a tough read. It's not a textbook by any stretch.
It's not a big. And I wrote it as very much as me talking, and so I'm very much like, hey girl, hey, like let's talk this way, how to sew on a button. It's not an encyclopedia read or a textbook.
That you were relatable, and you share so many different things and so many of your creations, and you've won awards for several of these creations. Amidala, the one that I kind of popped up on the display from the book just a few minutes ago, really, and of course Yennefer. Yennefer I've seen in person, and just
it's my straight jacket. That's what I call it.
It's so crazy. I mean, I've had conversations with other cosplayers about that. Your Yennefer, and they're over the moon about it. They're like, oh, I don't even know how it's so detailed. It's so great. It's just such an amazing piece.
Thank you.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about Yennefer? And just I mean, you can walk us through any of your.
I love talking about Yen because it was like a math equation. When I decided to make that one, I was like, it's just a dress covered in rope. I can figure this out. And I did by a lot of experimenting, but because of that, I had to calculate how much yardage I needed. And believe me, I 100% first round when I purchased the rope for it, undersold myself, ended up buying, I think 3 rounds 3 rounds of like purchasing the rope for yen.
Oh,
And
wow.
oh my god, I think I actually, at least I'm looking at it right now, so I'm like looking over here, I'm pretty sure I sold out Amazon for a very short amount of time with the with the silver rope. And which was really funny because when I finished it and uploaded the video, a lot of people have made this and they've used my
Mhm.
tutorial, and a lot of people have said, oh, the black or the silver's out again, people are making it for or like, and it was the cheapest place I could find it. And it was also, it had a lot to do with like the width of the rope. There's different types of you know, sizes of the rope that I needed to look good, so I tried different ones. And weirdly, everyone is blown away when I tell them that it's all on there by hot glue.
Really?
Yeah, so all of the rope is held on by hot glue. I
Oh.
tested it specifically because I needed a fast track to put things down and to move. And if you are sitting there hand sewing, which unfortunately I feel like probably were the sewing interns for The Witcher were the ones hand sewing that thing down for the actual outfit. Bless their souls, but like, oh my god. But I'm a one-woman shop and I need it to go fast. So
Mhm.
laying it down and using the hot glue was actually perfect because the fabric underneath of it was a silk taffeta, a very expensive silk taffeta that people still cringe when they hear I put hot glue on it. But it's a very porous material, and and silk is a very good material that adheres to hot glue.
Mhm.
And the polyester cords that I used are very good materials that adhere to hot glue. And so I was like, well, this is what we're using. And we used it. And luckily nothing stuck to my mannequin and it all worked out fine. However, the dress weighs about 20 pounds. So
Yeah,
that's why I call
yeah.
it my straight jacket, because it is literally, I'm in it like this. I don't have much movement, but I look great with my arms down.
But well, you do twirl fairly well in the
It does
dress.
have a cool twirl factor, I will say.
No, it is absolutely fantastic. So
Yeah,
detailed,
it's definitely
so
one of my most
accurate.
accurate. Yeah, it's one of, and I've done a lot of accurate cosplays, but for that one, it is really close to the original. And I know there's some extra design on the rope, like a couple more. I think I put a couple more black pieces like on the side or on the back, just because I'm a different size than the actress who wears it. So obviously I had to expand it a little bit design wise, but it's pretty damn close, I'm pretty sure.
It's just an amazing piece. And then to it's one of those pieces where the people in the movie were probably looking at it and being like, oh, why we should have done that.
Yeah.
Like the way she made it was probably an easier way to make it. Like in
I
turns, we
I
wasted your time. But
I love, I haven't had a lot of, I mean, it's obviously a magic like interaction on social media when I have creators or people who worked on the thing that I made reach out to me. No one's reached out to me yet for The Witcher. A lot of people have tried, or I've like tried to tag in people. I'll get her right here, which is kind of a cool story. So
oh, ooh,
my
this is
Naja
exciting.
doll from What We Do in the Shadows.
Uh-huh.
This is a complete handmade doll from resin sculpt.
Really?
It's a really creepy baby, but if you've ever seen What We Do in the Shadows, the character
Mhm.
Naja has a doll clone of herself. And I posted this online, and I actually had a lot of people tag me, and the person who created the actual animatronic for the doll in the show contacted me and was like, holy cow, you did that. And I was like, yeah, I did. So I had the team that worked
That's
the Naja
yeah,
doll and
that's
created the Naja doll
really close. That's really
realize
close.
realize
Wow.
my work and my work, and it was really kind of fun. Now she's just gonna be all creepy.
Well, that's totally fine. We can handle that. I do also want to talk about your YouTube channel.
You
Speaking of
too.
tutorials and just
Mhm.
all of these wonderful things that you have for us to use to help us create, to help the cosplay community. Your YouTube channel for sure rivals easily those of Alice and Tabitha, Tiffany
Oh,
Golden
thanks.
Cosplay, uh, Chris Chris Cosplay, or I'm gonna screw that one up. That's okay. There's a few, and yours is one of my go-tos as well. There's just so many like helpful videos and just so many
Yeah.
things that you're doing. Really, tell me about YouTube. Tell me about what you like about
Uh,
um, putting
I
videos
love
up on YouTube and how you get started.
Yeah, I love YouTube. I've been posting, oh man, I think I've been posting tutorials on YouTube since 2014.
Mhm.
And there was a very long period of time that I wasn't like hustling on it. I was just posting stuff whenever I was done with the costume. But I really, really love making something and teaching somebody else how to make it. I don't know, that's just a thing that I've always dug, and I thought that was really cool to be able to do that in a digital space on YouTube. And so I've had my channel since then, and I really didn't start like pushing it hard until a couple years ago, when I think my Ahsoka stuff started going pretty viral. A lot of people were really reaching out and asking me how I made my Ahsoka Tano Montrals, her Leku, and then
Mhm.
her outfit. And then I also had some other of my costumes kind of go a little viral, and I was like, okay, well, I think I should work on this. And so I just started making a tutorial with pretty much everything I've made and just post it up. And if you want to use it, you can use it. Tag me if you want to, if you want to do it. But I would say since the pandemic started, I started making it more of a vlog style,
Yeah.
and which a lot of people really dig. And I kind of like it because it's a little less refined. It's definitely like, hey guys, this is what we're doing, and we're gonna figure it out together, kind of a thing. Because I used to just record and then mass edit it at the end of the voiceover, and then up it goes, which is still cool. And I do for some smaller projects, but like for my Rose outfit for Titanic right now, I'm doing a bi-weekly vlog series where you're following me on making it. And then once we're done, we all celebrate it together. It's kind of cool. Everyone follows with me in real time, besides just Instagram stories,
Mhm.
that following me that way. And so it's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. Anytime someone's like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel and I want to do cosplay tutorials on YouTube, I'm like, I'm glad. Hold that effort, because it's a lot of work, because I forget sometimes to always have like a little tripod near me. My phone, I record everything on my phone.
Mhm.
It's just an easier way. And I think my phone is just better pictured than my camera now, because iPhones
Yeah.
work
So
really well. The
I
tech
think.
goes faster on that than the
Mhm.
digital cameras. And so I record everything there, and I upload and use Adobe Premiere and all of this stuff that I've gained knowledge over time. And so a lot of people, when they're first starting out, I'm like, you have to give yourself some patience, because there will be growing pains with the YouTube channel, and you won't see those views and those analytics and everything right off the bat. It's something that you have to work at. But a lot of people really succeed at it, and it's really cool to have a community of cosplayers on YouTube helping other cosplayers, and I think that's important.
No, that is very important. That's very cool. And yes, it's for all of those watching and listening, it takes a while. You started in 2014, and that's still, I mean,
Yeah, and
that's.
in my YouTube, it's not huge. I have less than 20k subs. If you're looking at it from someone who's had a channel for that long, cosplay is still niche. It's
Mhm.
not a big thing that you'll be a megastar in. There are hundreds of megastars, but not thousands of megastars.
Right.
So it's something that you really kind of have to have passion for. And I have always loved my YouTube channel. It's been my social media baby. It's just been, I've never been super upset if nothing goes viral or nothing does well. I'm just like, it's okay. Just put it out there, because I have those people that will still watch my stuff. And I know they will, because they'll tell me. So it's not like I'm posting stuff into the ether and there's nothing happened. I get people in the comments are just excited to follow my progress, or later on I get people using videos that I've posted 5, 6, 7 years ago, still using them. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, wow, that's awesome, because the editing on that was awful.
Yes, and I mean your content. There's so much evergreen content that just, yeah, like you said, it's going to be useful and relevant for years and
Yeah,
years and years.
yeah.
And you
And
do a very good job of that.
that's the bonus of cosplay tutorials, is that it's not so topical that it goes away. Like, even though my Captain Marvel outfit costume tutorials are older, there's still people going to make that costume. She's not out of the zeitgeist. And
Or
same with
that
Merida or Doctor
Doctor
Strange,
Strange.
exactly. Like, there's people are still going to want to make these costumes. It's not, they're not dead. And so I'll
Mhm.
still get those views and those numbers and those subs because of that.
It's just wonderful. I think it's a great approach. It's a great attitude because some people get really frustrated when they don't see a lot of
Oh
movement and
man.
a lot of numbers. I've
Oh yeah.
given up on numbers completely. So,
Yeah.
you know, and
Or
it really is it's a hobby too, to some
Yep.
extent. I mean, even if it is a livelihood, there's still, you know, a hobby element to it. So you can't
Yeah.
get too upset with yourself,
Yeah.
especially it's a brand new set of skills to try and create
It
videos and
really,
be in front of a
really is.
camera.
That
Yeah.
and that's like the other side of cosplay that a lot of people do not understand or don't know, that I'm also my full-time job is a social media manager and digital content creator for the Speed Art Museum. It's our
Yes.
local museum here. I love it. Shout out. But so I'm very used to that digital side. I know what to do. And so a lot of people, when they get into cosplay, they're like, okay, I've made the outfit and I go to the conventions, but like I want to post online. I want to make content. I want to do all of these YouTube videos. I'm like, you got to be prepared. This is another skill set that you're going to have to learn. It's a lot.
Mhm.
Buckle down.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And, you know, thank you so much for sharing your prop. There is one other prop that I'd love to talk about if we have a few
Yeah.
minutes. The really, really the best prop ever, your Book of the Dead from the
Oh, my
mummy.
book is dead. Let me go grab it.
Oh, you have it. Perfect.
It's right behind you. Everything is up here.
I will vamp while you're getting that. In your blog, you mentioned that it was easy to make, but the final product, you know, combined with your Eevee cosplay, I mean, really the way that, yes, there it is. That is just awesome. I mean, it looks just like it's like exactly
It
from the movie.
remarkably does. It's very strange when you make something so accurate that you're like, whoa, this is the thing. It's kind of cool.
It is. I love it. I mean, and you said it was kind of easy to put together, but there's still so much detail on the
It's
prop
easy for an
itself.
advanced person. I don't like to say it's this is not a beginner project, but it also is a good beginner project because it teaches you a lot. And the good thing with foam is that foam is cheap
Yes,
and
it is.
you can redo it if it screws up. Versus with fabric, like this fabric,
Yep, that's it. If
it's
you, they usually kind of start
very
off, that looks
expensive.
really, that's so, like, I'm thinking about the movie and I'm just trying to remember the
Yeah,
scenes where she wears that. And that is
can't
exactly,
wait. It's
exactly it.
I'm getting very excited by this. She's almost done. But yeah, the Book of the Dead. It's a very easy prop to make. It's literally just foam
Oh,
stacked on top of each other.
yeah, you can't tell. Like, if you
Yeah,
just
I
look,
did
like,
not
you
make
just
it
can't
to where
tell.
you can open it. When
Mhm.
opening it is a whole different can of worms. I made this to just keep it closed. So if you want to open it, that's a whole different set that you have to learn. But this stuff was
That's phase two.
exclusively, I mean, all of this, a
Mhm.
friend sent me these files that she found somewhere. And so I digitized them. That was me on my end working my magic
Wow.
skills. And then
Okay.
it's digitally cut with a Cricut die cutting machine. And so all of these little things right here, I didn't do that by hand. That was a cutting machine. Same with this guy and like these outside. So it was just a lot of gluing and painting.
Accurately. Yes. Very accurate.
Accurately. Oh,
Very,
you're not
very
wrong.
precise. Very, I mean, the placement's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it looks bulkier than it is. It really does. It looks like a heavy, it looks just like Evie's book, you know,
Yeah, it
laying
does look
around.
heavy, but it's very light. And it's very durable being foam too. Pretty much anything can bounce off this. I have dropped it a couple times. And the cool thing about it, it's one of those props that the more wear and tear, the better it looks.
And with the many books that you've created, that being one of them, you're actually working on another book.
Yeah.
Um, and is there anything that you would like to or can share about that project?
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, just tell us. Did it? Is it a sequel? Is it related to your first book, or is it
Yeah,
completely different?
I call it its sister. It's called Level Up Creative Cosplay. So it's literally just one step up. And I look at it's still a beginner book because I'm teaching you a lot of skills from a new perspective, but I'm also teaching you skills that I learned further into my cosplay career.
Mhm.
That it's very heavy into fabrication with LEDs. I don't say heavy on that point. That's very, very new to me. So when they asked me to write a portion on that, I was like, okay, we're getting very basic circuitry. And so, but I break it down to where you understand it, that you can build upon it.
Okay.
My biggest section in that book is actually on one of my favorite topics. It's makeup, both beauty and special effects makeup, and how to wear them and how to use them at a convention or, you know, with your costumes. And so that's a very heavy aspect of it. There's sections in there on patterning and how to drape your own stuff, which is another step further into making everything your own. And what else do I talk about? I say this because I literally just looked at the manuscript the other day because I am in the middle part of editing. So to not give too much away, it's just basically leveling up what we've already talked about. I know I go into talking about embroidery machines, overlock serger machines. And so you get a very well-rounded scoop on all of cosplay. The only thing I do not touch on the end is foam fabrication, because that is literally a whole other baby.
And you have to leave something for the trilogy.
Oh no, foam fabrication and we have had that book is the best thing I've made. I swear. Nothing can compete with that, and that's just a prop. Foam and we mix. We're oil and water. We don't mix that well. But my publishing company and other friends of mine have foam books coming out later this year. So I am pushing that you go read their books about foam. I don't want to talk about it.
Cross-referencing, yes.
Seriously, and they are way more knowledgeable about it than I am, and I would rather you get their knowledge than mine on foam. But this book does come out, I believe it's right now we're aiming for October of this year.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, it's already written. I wrote it last summer, and I'm still in the editing phases right now with it and getting a lot of the photography done for it. But it's definitely a great book to have with this one. Like I said, they're sisters.
Wow. Well, I'm very excited, and I will be pre-ordering a copy as soon as I see it come up. I'm guessing you will have it on your website?
I'll have it on my website, but it will not be the first. The quickest and fastest way to get it is through Amazon when I get that link. But it's not up there yet because it's not written. However, a friend of mine saw it linked already up on Barnes and Noble, which I was like, wow, Barnes and Noble, how'd that happen? But okay, that my publishing company does pretty much all of the submitting it to other places and getting those uploaded. So that wasn't me, but I just thought it was kind of funny. And I'm like, that book's not even done and it's already available for sale. You're putting too much trust into me. It'll be out, I would definitely say October, and definitely in my hands for Christmas time.
There you have it. So it's the perfect Christmas gift for everybody looking to get into cosplay and a little bit more. It is.
And it's a big book too. I think it's a little bit bigger.
Oh, more than
it's a little bit bigger than this one.
Yeah, this was 120 plus pages.
126.
I mean, it's super detailed. And again, I just really love the creativity that goes along with the creativity. It fits so well. I mean, every single page is just a little bit different in its presentation and how you spell everything out. You have terminology, you have tips.
Yeah, that was actually, it was very interesting writing it. I'm not a writer. I'm an artist. I'm a person who paints, I'm a person who makes clothing. I've never been a writer per se. And so when I was writing this book in the summer of 2019, I had a lot of help from my editor being like, I just don't know how to form work. Like it felt like I had to go back to college for me to get my like English grammar essay writing feedback. But once I got into writing it in like, I usually write in bullet points. I do a lot of things, and then forming that into sentence structure and forming that into paragraph structure, it all worked way better. And then this time when I wrote the second one, I was like, oh, I can do this like nobody's business. And it was I wouldn't call it way easier. It was just different, but it was definitely faster in like the development of the words.
There you go. Actually, that's a really good tip to start with bullet points if you're trying to write a lot. Yeah, I'm going to keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. Screw sentence structure. Just do bullet points. I call it word vomit. word vomit out what you need to say and then form the vomit into something legible.
Amazing, amazing, and so much discipline, and really just sticking to a schedule and a timeline. I mean, these are not things that always go hand in hand with cosplay in the first place. A lot of people like to do things at the last minute, and here you are, like, just so consistent. There's so many amazing things that you've done. I did at the beginning of the show mention SheProp. And I would like to spend just a little bit of time talking about SheProp. Actually, my introduction to SheProp was at C2E2 in 2021. And that's where I met and talked with you, which was just wonderful. And you were helping out with SheProp at the time, at the con, of course, promoting your work and your book and judging the contest. It was very busy. But from your website, there is a quote that I have to kind of summarize a little bit of what SheProp is about. SheProp, quote, is a forum for those that self-identify as female, non-binary or trans prop makers, costume designers, SFX artists, cosplayers, and more at all skill levels to get together and chat about all things cosplay. And what a wonderful community that is. I love this. How did you get involved with SheProp, its Facebook community, and what should we know about it?
Sure. Well, the best part about it is that we are very welcoming to anybody female identifying, and it is a safe space for literally anything you want to talk about. It was developed because a lot of Facebook groups, I will not name names, had really hard times with ladies in their spaces. And it was very apparent when we would post either work in progress pictures to Facebook and share it into groups, or we would ask questions, or we would just get negativity for reasons beyond me. And I'm like, okay, the boys don't want us to be here. We got to define our own space. And so Downing Creative Studios, Beverly, created this Facebook group, and I happened to know her at the time, and she was asking for admins, and I was actually already an admin in the cosplay marketing Facebook group that was huge at the time, and still are. They're awesome, and they're doing their own thing. And so I was like, I think I'm going to leave the cosplay marketing group, and I'm going to switch to help admin and start up SheProp with Beverly and a team. I think there was maybe 7 of us, including Beverly at the first time. And now our admin group is huge, and each of us have different types of roles. I've definitely taken a step back from a lot of like posting content. I'm their police force. So I'm here if something goes bad, or something needs to be removed, or if something, is a problem, I'll step in and ask what's going on and try to figure it out. Usually it's really not that big of a deal. And sometimes people get notorious. So we do not put out fires all the time. It's literally like, oh, I thought you meant this and this, and then we talk it out, and it's good. But the Facebook group was created as a response for people trying to feel safe in the cosplay, costuming, makeup world, who are female identifying. And because of that, I think we have almost, look on Facebook, 4.8K members on Facebook. So we're almost at 5,000 members on Facebook, which is huge. And we post stuff every day, and it is a huge forum. And if you don't like Facebook, we have a Discord that you can join. If you don't like that, we have a YouTube channel. There's podcasts that Beverly has started. We are trying our hardest to be at a lot of conventions throughout the US. We have a Spanish Latinx speaking community as well. I'm not in it because I don't know Spanish, but that's also a part of SheProp as well, is the Latinx community. So it's growing. It's really great. And I always like to promote it as a great place to start if you are female identifying, getting into cosplay and you want feedback. Like, don't go in expecting everyone to be nice to you. If you would like, some critical feedback, but also we're there to help support you. We're not going to tear you down. Post a picture, say how you are, engage in the comments, talk to people. It's a great way to get into the community. And a lot of people have met really good friends from that, from our Facebook group leading into conventions. And we do meetups at conventions too. And so it's just great to know people. And It's just a great space, guys.
And panels as well. I think you have
Yeah.
panels that you guys do at conventions.
Mhm.
It's, yeah, it really is. It does feel very safe. I think that it's just been done a very great job of being, inviting
Yeah.
and creating that safe space for a group of
Yeah.
cosplayers that really absolutely deserve to have that space. And I just
Absolutely.
I really think, you mentioned being kind of a police force for for the group. Honestly, I wish there was more of that just online in general, that people could
Yeah,
just
right.
like work through things a little bit more,
Mhm.
because there's a little bit too much drama sometimes in the cosplay
Yes.
community.
Yeah. And there is not, everyone is cool. We are vibe together. We chill. Like I said, there is tons of different skill sets in there. And that was one of the things that Beverly and I were talking at the beginning when we started this, was that we needed people who weren't like, we didn't want everyone who's the admins or the leaders of the group to be cosplay superstars, like as in number wise. And so we really tried hard to expand into people who are new to it or new to social media, that have great skill sets but don't have the numbers, because as sad as it is, numbers are kind of intimidating for people. I find it strange, but a lot of people had a hard time. They would be like, "Oh, I don't want to come talk to you. I'm nervous. I don't know what to say." And I'm like, "Why though? Why?" And they're like, "Well, you have so many big numbers, or your following's huge." And I'm like, "It's just a number on a digital space." I'm just
And that's very reassuring too. I think it's wonderful that because some people aren't quite so humble sometimes about
no.
their numbers, and it's just really refreshing to hear,
Yeah,
and to be approachable. I think that it's sometimes it gets a little bit misplaced in the online community just in
it does.
general, but
Mhm.
it's so great that that you see it a little differently, and that you have created so many resources for everyone, that you are so approachable through social media and otherwise. Really just a great person to meet at a convention and just say hi. Of course, get the photo ops and things like that with
Yeah.
you. But really, when I approached you, I just looking at everything you've done, everything that you accomplished, and really just saw it as an opportunity just to give you my thanks for everything that you've done, and
Thank you.
really look forward to seeing more, to seeing the next thing that you do. It's just,
Me
everything is so
too.
amazing.
I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. I am definitely now what a bunch of my friends, we all consider ourselves the elder millennials in the cosplay group. And I think this year, if you want to look at it, is technically my 10-year anniversary of cosplaying, since I've been at my first costume convention was 2012. And so I already feel like I have so much knowledge, but yet I'm still walking on a cane. I'm like, "Oh, you young children, let me tell you, come here."
Well, I know I'm
I'm not
getting old.
stopping.
If the millennials are getting elder, then me being a Gen X, I'm like, oh boy, because I definitely can relate to the comments about Dragon Con, for sure.
Yeah,
As I drink my
absolutely.
cold tap water here with my mug.
As you drink your water, preparing for
Yes.
more Dragon Con. But it's been interesting, especially when I got into cosplay. It was still somewhat underground, but it was starting to not be. I say that from a crafting sense because I remember when I started going to Joann's to make costumes, I was not shopping for cosplay fabrics. I was shopping for dance wear fabrics. I was shopping bridal. Now you go to Joann Fabrics and there's a cosplay fabric section.
There
There's
is.
cosplay patterns. Those did not exist when I first started it. The wigs, like buying a wig online used to be extremely difficult, apparently, before I started getting into it. Wigs were not good and you just kind of got over that. But when I started getting into it, Art of Wigs was starting to be huge. Epic Cosplay, there were these sections of cosplay that were becoming professional and easier to get a hold of. And because of that, cosplay just boomed and became a force to be reckoned with, especially in
Yes.
the business world. And be seeing companies like Joann Fabrics or Barnes and Noble promoting cosplay is a huge deal. And I keep telling people, I'm like, it used to not be like this.
No, I mean, I remember, if I go back way in the way back machine to like Gen Con, I remember there were like 3 people. You know, it was like a bunch of us playing Dungeons and Dragons and being nerdy, and then there'd be like a few people who'd be dressed up, and you'd like gravitate towards them. You'd be like, "Ooh, what's all this about? Like, are you a LARPer? Do you LARP?"
Yeah, I get those questions still. But I mean, I started going to conventions to cosplay. A lot of people started going to conventions to be nerdy or go to Gen Con for, board games, and versus then people started dressing up. And now people like to go to like anime cons just to dress up. Do I know anime? No, I've nothing, but I'll go just to have an excuse to wear my outfits. So it's weird to see that dichotomy in the community now as a thing. I love it. It's cool.
Yes. Now, and you've done so much for the community, and really just appreciate again having you on the show and sharing all of this with all of the fam out there. Amanda, where can we find you, and how can we support you and buy your book online?
Well, you can find me literally on every social media out there, from TikTok to Facebook to Twitter to Instagram to YouTube. I have my own website, JediManda.com. You can look for JediManda anywhere. That's where I be. My book right now is currently out of stock in my shop, but I will have it restocked before I call it the convention rush starts. So that's kind of like early summer. So I'll have it restocked soon. Just stay close to my Twitter and I'll mention it. But if you're like, I need it now, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target.com, pretty much anywhere there's a big box store, you can search Creative Cosplay to find it.
All right, well, there you have it. And I will have the links and the things that you can click in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to follow and support JediManda. Amanda Haas, thank you again so much for being on the show. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you and just going through all of these wonderful things.
Yeah, it was fun. I haven't done a podcast recording in a while. I remember when the pandemic first started, everybody was Zooming and podcast recording, and I had a lot of those at the beginning. And I was like, well, I haven't done one of these in a while. It was kind of weird.
I'm so glad that you accepted and you came on the show. It's just so great. So there you have it, folks. This is Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary and JediManda saying bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.